No goals yet on Tyneside between Newcastle and Bournemouth. How would you describe your half-time mood then, Mr. Shearer?
Dominated possession, but nowhere near good enough in the final third. Got into some really good positions, but their final pass, their decision-making and their all-round ability in and around the final third, when they've created those chances, has not been good enough.
They have hit the woodwork a couple of times. Kieran Tripper's always a danger. We know that. We've seen that. He was just a whisker away.
Yeah, it was. Great technique, similar to the Man City game. Gets it, goes to the goalkeeper's side, to be fair, just reverses it, but such good technique. Always seems to hit the target with his free kicks, and in that type of area there, he's as good as anyone there is. So, unfortunate there, graces the outside of the post, and probably the closest they've come.
And so too did Joe Linton, because he was part of an astonishing period of play. With Neto, you have to give credit in the Bournemouth goal, do you?
Yeah, a couple of good saves, albeit ones you'd expect him to make. And it eventually comes to Joe Linton there, touch with the left foot, and he just tries to wrap his foot around it with that left foot finish there. It doesn't go away. The ball goes back in. But this is when I was talking about having that little bit of more extra quality in there when you need it. You're putting them under pressure. Decent save again. Expect to save it, and the same again. I mean, it looks spectacular, but it's only half a yard from the goalkeeper. As you know, I don't like giving goalkeepers too much credit. He'd expect to save that, but that's a very good effort from Joe Linton.
Yeah, the keeper made a couple of good saves in there. I mean, that first one from Joe Linton, but you're probably right. The last one, that one he should save, and this one here as well. I mean, it's probably more camera than an actual good save. But you've got to keep the ball out of your net. He hasn't been tested much either this first half, so he stayed concentrated, and it is a good save.
Let's just go back to your point about the final third. Why haven't they got more quality into that area?
Haven't shown enough urgency, and they certainly haven't shown enough ability, and they've done well getting into those areas. They've worked those areas well in terms of getting in behind the fullbacks, the Bournemouth fullbacks, and you got into a good position there and you're thinking, come on, Isak, Fraser needs you in the middle there. He's looking to cross it there. The ball eventually comes in, Isak's on the edge of the box. That's not good enough. He's not going to get the number of goals that he wants by in that position. That should be hit across. He doesn't like using his right foot, but look, if he hits that across the goalkeeper, then who's at the far post? Isak's coming in at that far post there. By the time he pulls it back into Trippier, it's not a bad ball in. It's allowed Bournemouth to get defenders back in to clear it. Again, they work the position well. But it's a poor ball, it's a sloppy ball, and just when they've needed that little bit of composure and that little bit of quality, like there again, that's the thing that's been lacking from their performance in that first half. They need to show a bit more quality and certainly more urgency in and around those areas. Similar thing again, they get in behind the fullbacks, but they just haven't got the men in there, and they haven't had they haven't been good enough in those areas.
And from the other side of the coin, Bournemouth have survived. We've mentioned that 4 points from the last 6. They'll be much the happier.
Yeah, because I don't think they've got going yet either, Bournemouth. But I think they've done what they needed to do this first half, which is make it difficult for Newcastle. Of course, Newcastle in the final third haven't been great. But I think from their perspective, Gary O'Neill would want a bit more. Once they're going forward, can they get the like of Tavernier on the ball, Solanke, who's not been in it, Philip Billing, get these guys on the ball in good areas and try and cause Newcastle problems? Because at the minute, yeah, they're doing well from a defensive standpoint, but in terms of causing Newcastle problems, they haven't really laid a glove on them yet.
Patience here as well for Newcastle. Longer this goes at 0-0, which of course was the result last time out at St James's Park as well. Yeah,
a bit of patience is going to be needed from the crowd also. You just sense that little bit of frustration, because when you're dominating possession like Newcastle are, you'd expect to have a goal or two to show for that, and you could just hear the 1 or 2 moans and groans starting to come in. So as well as the players have to be patient, the fans might have to be as well in that second half. It might be one of those games where, similar to last night with Aston Villa, it wasn't pretty. They might just have to rely on a 1-0, which will do them. But in terms of performance, they'll be looking to do better.
Newcastle and Bournemouth, and Darren Bent said at half-time, Bournemouth could be dangerous on the break. They were to take the lead in the end.
Yeah, really good goal. Weathered the storm first half, as you say, but second half came into it, came out the blocks really, really sharp, and it was their best period of play when they got the goal. But it was a really good goal from Philip Billing. He's been doing this since he got to Bournemouth, arriving in the box late, and it's a really tidy finish. Question marks around the offside, but times his run to perfection, and it is such a really, really good finish with the outside of his foot. And I think at that particular part of the game, Bournemouth deserved to be one up.
Yeah, Bournemouth definitely deserves something. It wasn't offside. It's timed to perfection. It's a really clever goal, clever finish, and that's what Bournemouth deserved. They didn't have to play particularly well, but what was impressive about them was the way they stuck together.
And this was the way eventually Newcastle got a point.
Yeah, a VAR decision eventually goes for Newcastle, and it was the correct decision. His arm is out. You can see Kieran Trippier straight away there. That claimant straight away. The arm is wide away from his body. The VAR tell the referee to look at it, and yeah, it was a correct decision.
And the new club record signing got his first goal.
Yeah, good for him. Didn't have a lot to do today, but he had the courage to stand up and he took it away really well. Didn't even if the keeper guesses the right way, he's not saving that. It was a wonderful penalty. But Newcastle were poor today. They didn't deserve to win the game.
And there's been a lot of plaudits, and rightly so, for Eddie Howe's run of form. Where does that performance rank since he took over?
Probably one of the worst since he's been at the club, to be honest. They were flat, no energy, didn't move the ball quick enough, really poor in wide positions, and didn't play well at all, and got a point out of it. May have been fortunate to get that.
Alan, Darren, thank you very much indeed for your